Whatever you decide today is for you on this Sunday, welcome. I wanted to make sure that I came to you guys because it's been a while. It's been a minute since I went live. So I wanted to kind of talk to y'all about a few things. Of course, you see the title is talking about nurse mentorship, burnout, and increase in income. So I believe any nurse that's been a nurse at least 2 to 3 years have thought about, is this for me? Is this the right role for me? Number one, you need more money, of course, as well as mentorship. Everybody don't think that mentorship is important, but it genuinely is. And I had a mentor starting out. Now, if you currently or have ever felt burnt out, exhausted, or you're like, wow, should I quit nursing? This live is for you. So thanks for the like, I appreciate it. So if you are a nurse in this live right now, hey, hello, Alicia. If you are a nurse in this live right now, put in the comments if you've been burnt out or if you've questioned your role in nursing. Put it in the comment. If you're not a nurse, that's okay. If you are in nursing school, that's totally fine. But I want to really pinpoint a couple of things in this quick live, hopefully quick, that I'm doing today on Easter Sunday, Resurrection Day. So what I do, because I do have notes, because I will forget. And sometimes with these lives, people will have questions and then I'll get sidetracked and I won't go directly into what I wanted to fully do. But I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things. So if you're watching this live, or if, because I'm gonna have a replay. If you're watching the replay and you are a nurse and you're burnt out, comment burned out. Okay. I want to know, is my audience feeling this way? Or if y'all cool as a cucumber, then that's cool too. Or if a lot of you guys are retired, that's also good. I'm going to talk about a little bit more of an increase in your income as a nurse towards the end of this live. So definitely stick around. Nurses, you have the capability of getting more than just your 9 to 5. And if you think your 9 to 5 is going to make you rich, no, it's not. This is why rich people don't work. Am I rich? Absolutely not. But have I used my nurse earnings to make me have a better income? Absolutely. So if you are a nurse watching this live or anybody in healthcare, please drop your specialty. Let me know. It's a few people y'all racking up in here. Let me know who I'm talking to. So if you work in long-term care, nursing home, put it in the comments. If you work at the bedside med surge, put it in the comments. ER, ICU, PACU. Hey, Tasha, put it in the comments. And while you guys are doing that, feel free to share this with someone that this may actually be helpful for if it's not helpful to you. And give me a thumbs up too. So again, because I see a few more people. Okay, Tasha, med surge. All right. Do you feel burnt out at all? I think I mentioned this before you came on. Nurses, if you're here and you feel burnt out, comment burned out. If not, you don't have to say anything. All right, dialysis clinic. All right, Rhonda, I worked in dialysis. Dialysis could be easy if everyone is fully staffed and everybody is showing up. But if not, it could be a nightmare. All right. But of course, the dialysis patients become your family. You love on them. And if, when they're not in clinic, you're like, where are they? So I'm going to kind of move on. Okay. What's this? Long-term burnt out. Okay. The good CC. And then Merce. All right, Merce Smith. Tell me what specialty are you in? Smith Pierce. All right. So as those are coming on, I'm going to kind of continue a little bit. Now, of course, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, I'm not one of those nurses that's been a nurse for 30 years. I'm not that seasoned of a nurse. I've been in healthcare since 2008, but I've been a nurse for about 10 years. All right, Tasha, I see you burnt out. 10 years in, burnt out. Okay. So, a little bit about my story if you do not know. I started off my nurse journey in the ER. What? Makes the best cornbread. Oh, okay. I started off in the ER. I wanted to see perfect. Okay, ICU. I wanted to see the stab wounds, the gunshot wounds. I wanted to see the trauma. That was just what I wanted to see. Originally, thank you. This is a whole dress, but thank you. Um, Originally, I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse when I was in my clinical rotation. And it kind of changed. It changed when, you learn about the stillbirths and you learn about, the malpractice lawsuits. And it's like, oh, yeah, I would be crying with the parents if they had a stillbirth, to be honest. So, and then the lawsuits, and then I also had someone telling me like the rate of pay wasn't as much in labor and delivery, which the rate of pay is going to be good for a brand new nurse anyway. So that part didn't matter to me because it was going to be an increase anyway. But I kind of changed over and went into the ER. And then the good thing about being in the ER, I learned a lot under one roof. But when it comes to, say, if I went from ER to med surge, I'm getting more detailed on what I'm doing instead of it being a focus assessment. So I went to the ER, worked there, worked in the ICU, and then I got pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I injured myself. So I had to figure out what was I going to do. Was I going to stay at the bedside, work midnights, or was I going to go day shift because my husband worked days. I had other children at home, and I think the best thing for me was to go to a different area in nursing. So this is what people fail to realize. When you start off your nursing career, you do not have to stay in that med surge, in that ICU, in that dialysis role for the term of your nursing career. You don't. And sometimes you're stuck in that nursing career, in that role, because it's comfortable. But it's doing a toll in your body. Now, dialysis doesn't do wear and tear on your body at all. But ER, ICU, med surge, long-term care, it does a toll. So being that you are breaking your back for these patients for years and years to come, okay, I'm going to read that in a minute, Rhonda, as well as David. When you're breaking your back for years and years to help your patients, which you love and enjoy to do, your body is breaking down. When you're no longer young enough to bounce back and you get into your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and you like, whoo, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Then you question nursing. No, you don't question nursing. You switch up where you work. It's plenty of non-bedside jobs that pay way more than bedside. Way more. Okay, so let me see. So of course we're burnt out, we're drained emotionally, physically, right? Also, you have compassion fatigue, you're short staffed, there's unsafe ratios, right? If you agree with those three things I said, put it in the comment. I agree, or if you don't, say I do not agree. It's totally fine. But I believe the majority of the nurses that are burnt out, they are worried about, well, they're not worried, but they're pushing through. They're burnt out, they're drained, they have compassion fatigue, they're short-staffed, right? As well as this unsafe ratios because management is okay with letting their staff being stretched as far as they can with the same pay. So, and to, you know what? Let me get on my laptop so I can see these messages a little quicker. But that Lemons, nurses today are lazy and incompetent, very dangerous. Tell me what your role is, Lemons. I'm eager to see that. And thanks for your opinion. Let me go to these comments really quick before I get too far into this live because I don't want you guys to think that I'm missing what you're saying. And then I can get back to, a couple of different things. And I appreciate the likes, guys. I appreciate that so much. All right, so all right, let's go up. Second she, nope, that's top, by the way. 29 years old. I'm a 29-year-old dad. Uh-oh, my comment scrolled back down. I'm a 29-year-old dad in a whole different field, but I love your video. I feel you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm just dang. I'm giving auntie vibes. I am an auntie. I think my oldest, my nephew is, is he 20? 20, sorry. I don't know if he's 28. Oh my God, I feel old. Okay, but when my nephew was born, I was a teenager. So, yes, just started in dialysis clinic. I left the hospital due to burnout and I wanted something different. So is it Road? I was gonna say Rhonda. I thought that was an A. Look, let me clean my glasses off. You started in dialysis and I left the hospital. Oh, okay, so just started. Okay, hopefully dialysis is good for you. Hey Veronica, my Purple Heart girl. Hopefully dialysis is good for you because it was okay for me, but it made it difficult because I was in leadership. So the person that was above me didn't really penalize the people that knew how many call-offs they had and kept calling off, because it does a toll on your staff, as well as the patients need to make sure that they're getting on the machine in a timely manner based on the staffing that you have. And then the nurses were doing tech work and nurse work. So it became difficult, but it's not as bad as working the bedside. Okay. Let's see. I've thought that numerous times. All right, Tasha. All right, Cherie. I don't know if you guys can do this. I don't know if this is a thing for live videos. If so, wherever the hype button is, I think you have to be subscribed to the channel. Hit the hype button. I'm always trying to figure out how my video can, like, what does the hype button do? Because I don't know, but I know it's something new. So hit the hype button if you find it. If not, there might just be for long form videos. Okay. I worked 10 years in a hospital as a auxiliary staff, unit secretary, telemetry tech, CNA, phlebotomy, etc. Then I switched up and went into the IT for 16 years. Now, I've heard about people going into the IT field. Question for you, Cherie. Were you a nurse doing IT, or were you just healthcare and then you switched over? Because I've heard good things about IT, but I also heard that they'll get rid of you in a heartbeat. Like, they'll get rid of you quick. You make good money, but they'll fire you, and then you're looking for another job. So, and I've heard that from a couple people that I personally know. But I don't think they were nurses. I think they were, just non-nursing staff. All right, how do you feel about fully able patients helping with the basics, where the restrooms are, etc.? How do I feel about it? I mean, if that's one of my patients, I'm going to help them. And if they're fully abled, it's a reason why they're asking for your help. So they could be dizzy. They might have fallen in the past and they're nervous. It might be too dark in their room and they can't see. Who knows? But now, if they're taking advantage, that's a whole nother thing. But if they're able-bodied, but they may be a little nervous, you never know if they're feeling dizzy at the time and they just need an extra hand. Okay, thank you for this live video. I'm 53 years old, homeless nurse. I'm exhausted to the core. It's taken all my energy. People judge me harshly, and I have been fired from jobs because I'm homeless. Oh my God, how? Please explain this to me. Is it CC? CCB, I haven't heard of a job firing anyone due to their homelessness. Is it tell me a little more about that. I'm eager to know because that's sad. Like you're working, but you get fired because you're homeless. Is it a truancy thing? Is it, I mean, do they want to mail something to you and they can't, I'm trying to figure out what that is. I mean, if it's you need a PO box or something, it shouldn't be the case on why you're getting fired and you're homeless. But yeah. Oh, telehealth. So, question. If you're doing telehealth, do they need an address to mail your things to you? I know you probably can work in a library. Well, not maybe a library. Maybe you probably can work in a library in one of those closed off rooms. You probably can work in a Starbucks. Um, but I'm trying to see why. Okay, let me go back up. I hit the hype button for you before, but I don't see it on the live. Okay, cool. I'm just eager to see what this thing does because it's something new. Let's see. Hygiene, sleep deprivation, lack of clean clothing. Marcus, is is that your case, or are you trying to answer the question that I have for CC? You said it's a private duty job. Okay, so with telehealth, if it's a private duty job, why did they legally? Nobody can say that they're firing you because you're homeless. So what's the verbiage that they give you on why you were being fired? Tell me that. Okay. Um. Oh, you were ganged up on by other two nurses, very wealthy family. Have you tried somewhere else to work? I mean, it's more than one private duty job. It's more than, I mean, you could do home health care. Private duty is home health care. So, um, don't let that one part deter you from being great at nursing. That could be a stepping stone and just say, you know what? I did that in the past. It's out the way. I'm going to push forward and I'm going to get there. Sometimes you try to overcome things to get better because I've done it. All right, let me see. Can you give tips on office talk? I'm not accustomed to people asking personal questions in small talk or mistake my directness for aggression. Girl, I'm sorry, KS. I'm not sure if this is a man or a woman, but it just came out, girl, because I understand, because I can be very direct, and I'm only direct to certain people. Um, when it comes to office talk, whatever business you don't want out there, keep your mouth shut. And if somebody is trying to, dig into your information to figure out who you are, I'd rather not discuss that information with you. I mean, they'll be upset, but it is what it is. Um, when I've been at a job, my current job, I've been there for 2 years. And some people don't even know the names of my children. Like, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And I may call my children by their nicknames. Like my youngest is Puddin'. Nobody knows her real name, but that's Puddin'. So they say, oh, how Puddin' doing? Yeah, because you are in charge of what is being out there. When you're telling people, that's your business. If you don't want your business out there, don't say it and just say, I just don't want to discuss my personal information in a work setting. Sorry. Okay. And if they think that you aggressive because you just blunt, is what it is. Some people, they look at me when I come up and I'm joking around with people, and when I get direct or when I get blunt, it's for a reason. But, I'm a playful person, but when it's time to get down to business, then I'm getting down to business. But when it's something that I'm not going to play with you about, straight direct. All right. Let me see. What do you do in skincare for acne-less skin? I use a couple of things. I've really never had a lot of acne, but what I would, the CeraPhe that I foaming to wash my face with. I'll do something like maybe vitamin drops to put on my face while it's still moist, and then what is it? The Ordinary facial cream. I'll put that on at the end. Hopefully that's what is that? Something popped up on my screen. Hopefully, I forgot the name of the facial cream, but it's in like this tall little gray bottle, and a little bit goes a long way. And most of the time when I do my videos, I put a filter on there because if you look, I've always had this, even as a child. And I try to smooth it out because it used to bother me, but now I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. So my skin is not perfect, but I mean, whose is? Okay. I'm sorry, Cece, that you went through that, being bullied. I really do. Hopefully, you can find a different place to work at, and it's better, because it's always gonna be somebody that's catty that you work with. So I'm gonna get back to the reason for this live, but you guys can also always chime in because I will stop what I'm doing to answer. That is the reason why we're live. So, um, during the time during the time of nursing, when you've had enough, right? When you had enough, there's a breaking point. And for me, the breaking point was I injured myself in the ICU. I was pregnant with my third daughter. What was I going to do? Was I going to go back to the bedside and injure myself again? No. Give me something that I'm not pushing and pulling, because I injured myself when I had a 300 plus pound sedated patient and I thought I was Wonder Woman, and we only had one tech in the ICU that rotated on both sides. So I am strong. Even my husband say that I'm strong, and he not no little weak guy. Okay. But I'm thinking I'm Wonder Woman and I done pulled something in my back. You don't want to mess with your back. So what I did, I had to think about it when I was on leave for medical leave, as well as I was pregnant. I had to think like, what can I do in order for me not to re-injure myself? Because it was a pull, a strain, but it wasn't a break. Thank goodness. So sometimes when you have your downtime, instead of going and looking at Netflix, we love Netflix, or Prime, or HBO, or look, all of these platforms that we have that probably don't use as much, or even YouTube, you need to figure out what's your next step. If you are at your breaking point, what's your next step? And shameless plug, my mentorship is starting back in May. Everybody does not need a mentor. New nurses need a mentor. Experienced nurses need a mentor if they're trying to navigate better in different areas, because they're stuck, they're comfortable, but they're miserable. You need a mentor to get you out of that, to help you navigate. There are retired nurses that maybe have not put up enough capital and they still need to come out of retirement to work. You need a mentor because you need to have somebody to help you generate more income if your 401k wasn't enough. Maybe you didn't do your best when you were putting money to a side as a new nurse, and you was like, I ain't gonna put none of that. I'm about to just blow it and splurge and enjoy myself. And then you look and your retirement fund is like less than 100,000. Hopefully that's not the case. But there are ways that you can get more money as a nurse. So that's why I say mentorship is important, 100% important to have. I believe in my description, I have the link to fill out the form. Of course, everybody is not going to be accepted in the mentorship program. No, my mentorship is not free. My time is valuable. The personalized mentorship that I do is geared towards that person. It's not like a general, hey, it's a video for this. No, I am directly on a Zoom call with you one on one. Whether you decide to do the group setting, which is not as close and it's not, it's geared towards you, but you gotta share that time with other people. Or the one-on-one, of course, I'm talking to you, I'm having you to explain what you need, what's your goals, long term, thank you, short term, what's bothering you at work, how to handle what's going on at work, what's your next move, how can you have school paid for if you're like a CNA going into LPN or LPN going into RN. How can you get this stuff paid for? It's plenty of things out here. It's plenty, but you got to know the right person that could help you. So yes, I do mentorship. Like I said, in my description, there's a form that I put, and it says, if you want me to be your mentor, click the link. And it's a form that you fill out. I'm going to go over those forms maybe towards mid-April, and then I'll send emails out to let you know if you've made it to the mentorship. And also you got to let me know if you want to do one-on-one. Of course, that's a little bit more because it's directly me and you, at a time that you prefer that works with both of our schedules. Or if you want to do the group setting, which you have a piece of one-on-one with me, but it's shared. So it's not that close knit like a one-on-one. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying, and then I'll go back to what I was saying. I really appreciate that. Okay, KSRN Foucault or CO. I really appreciate that. It's definitely girl. You read that well. Thanks. Any tips on coping strategies besides silence, car rides, home? For me, I don't really. Okay, what music do you prefer? I don't really do silent car rides. Knowing me, I'm on the phone. I'm talking to somebody. My adult children calling me for something, or I'm talking to my nurse mentor, or I'm talking to my husband, or I'm trying to take care of business before a place closes. But I don't necessarily do silent car rides. I mean, it could be um motivational podcast, or not podcast, but motivational music. It could be jazz music that's just a little soothing to your ears. It could also just be you doing something special for yourself when you get done with done with work. If I could talk, sometimes I overspeak too quickly. So if you if you want to go out to eat after work, feel free to do that. Unless you got family at home, then it's like, oh, you didn't ate without us. If you want to, have a day on your off day to do something special for you, I believe you should. Sometimes with the silent car rides, that's going to make your mind wonder a little bit more because it's silence. But if you prefer silence, that's totally fine. But yeah, me, I'm more of a busier person, so I don't want to ride in silence. I do want to listen to something. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be ratchet or if it's going to be gospel or if it's going to be jazz. But I'm listening to something. Or if it's going to be like a YouTube video that's hooked up into the car and I can just listen to it and not look. Sometimes I do that because I like to educate myself as well. Okay, let's see. Let's go back. Ganged up on you. Okay, I read that. Let me scroll down. I thought of starting a company called Wall with a Nurse, offering Long walks by donation or a set fee. Lots of lonely elderly people want to be heard. Walk with the nurse struggled, asking for help. Mentorship is very important. I'm here for it. Okay, so Cece, that walk with the nurse can be really good. But also, is it an age range? Is it a you have to, when you're doing your business, you have to think of a couple of things. If you're going to be walking with elderly people, that's going to be your patients. Are they ambulatory? I guess it depends on the area that you live into, because right now it was 60 something degrees yesterday and it's 40 something in Michigan. So I'm like, I ain't going outside at all to walk. But if you're in a sunny state, this could be a good idea. You just have to find a way where you can advertise this. And of course, you don't want to advertise it in long-term care, because a lot of them are rehabilitation patients. So they are going to need help with walking. Um, I think, I don't know if I think it's a good idea, but you have to find your key audience for it. And if it's for elderly, I still walk like I work in the ER. My legs go like this. So when I'm walking with a patient, I'm like, you don't have to keep up with me because I walk fast. So make sure that you can kind of like make sure that you can walk at a slower rate. Um, it could be a tripping hazard when walking with elderly, so you want to look at their shoes. If they're walking with a cane, it may be a short walk, because you don't want anything to kind of go out on them while they're in your care, and then that becomes a hospital visit because of a fall. But if they just want to walk and talk, I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect, walk and talk. But you have to have a criteria for your patients, because all elderly patients are not like how they are in. I think I saw a video where it's I think it's called sanitarians in Japan. Like, it's so many people that's 100 plus, and they're mobile, and they're walking around, and they're going up hills, and they're fully able-bodied, no wheelchair, no walker, no cane, and they're moving around. So you definitely, if you see an audience, go for it. Make sure that you have your business license for it. Do a LLC. Put it like that. Do a LLC for your business, and start off with one patient. And usually, with success in an elderly bunch, if they have friends, it's going to be word of mouth. So that word of mouth is going to help you to get your next client. And just like people have, like lawyers, they have referrals. Sometimes those referrals is going to help you, because that's something different from what I'm used to hearing, but I think it's really good. Just make sure that you're doing this in a safe way. Okay, let me go back to the comments. I'm a new RN residency. I'm in my new RN residency, and I absolutely hate working in the hospital. Any advice on exploring other areas? Actually, I have been in a hospital, not my whole nursing career, but just about. And it's nothing wrong with getting that. And tell me, why do you hate it? Um, because if you hate the hospital for a particular reason, and that happens, the same thing happens outside of the hospital, then we need to discuss that. But tell me, Chris, why you hate working in the hospital before I can give you more advice on exploring options, okay? All right. I would love to have a private mentor. Okay. So Veronica, I don't even know. Let me see if I can find that. I'll put one second. Let me try to find the link. I might have already had it copied because I put it in. Oop, I wanted to edit that. Oh no, it's good. So I put it in. I'm going to pin it at the top. Of course, fill out the form. This is something that I have, people to apply for. Then like I said, I'll go through it and then I'll see who's eligible. But it's questions on there. You got to have a 3-month commitment. You can't just do this mentorship for one day and think that everything is gonna. No, I'm gonna give you homework, and you're gonna come back and give me what your homework was, and then I'm gonna talk to you about it, check on you to see how everything went, and go from there. Okay, let me go back up. All right, Cherie, you cope with gospel music. See, music can change your whole trajectory on what's happening. It just depends on what type of music that you're playing. Let me see. I sit in my car and I watch a show on my phone before I go in the house with my kids, just for me time to decompress. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Sister, hey. Thank you so much. Yes, word of mouth is everything. It is, because I'm going to give you a prime example. So for me, I made a good amount of money as a travel nurse. So with some of that capital that I had, I put it into my scrub business. So pettyscrubs.com is my scrub business. And without even advertising my scrubs, I'm telling you, the first week that I came out, which it was like the last week of December, the first week that I came out with my scrubs, I made over $1,000 in that one week. No advertising, just word of mouth. Just word of mouth. So, of course, as time went on, I made more money. And then, being that you have a business, you're not going to make money on days. So, you have to make sure that you're not stopping your 9 to 5 for a business that doesn't pay more than your 9 to 5. But it's also good to have that side hustle money. Okay. But yeah, word of mouth is everything. Me and my real biological daughters and nieces are not nurses, but nurses can get burnt out. Yes. You welcome, Veronica. Micromanaging politics and lack of actually getting to know my patient. I've worked in LTC in the past and actually thrive in it. Okay, Chris. So if you like LTC, go for it. For me, how long is your residency? Because maybe you have to be in your residency for so long, and then after you get your experience, you can go back into LTC. For me, long-term care, the only thing I've done in long-term care was be a phlebotomist. I drew blood at 2 o'clock in the morning on certain patients, and then I drove out of there after an hour, and then I went to another place, and then I drove out of there after 30 minutes. So I went to nursing homes to draw blood, but I didn't work as a nurse in a long-term care facility. One thing about me is my nose. I smell everything. So when I was pregnant with my last daughter, you know that pregnancy nose that you have, women? It stuck. So, I mean, everything, I smell it, and it's like, I don't think I would be able to survive in a long-term care facility working the bedside, because the smells. Everybody doesn't clean up their patients in a good time frame, or stuff happens. You get busy and you can't get to your patient in a timely manner. Some people love long-term care facilities or assisted living, and some people despise them and they prefer a hospital setting or working from home doing telework, or like work for an insurance company and you're doing case management and just talking to the patients on the phone. Okay. Let me see. But yeah, the micromanaging, yeah. And micromanaging can come from your own coworkers too. I work with somebody like that right now, where they want to micromanage what everybody is doing and ain't nobody's boss. Nobody's. So I don't get it. They ain't paying her no more, no less, but that's just the way that she is. All right. Let's see. So I see this medical equipment sales. That could be a good option, but I need to know how long is his residency. You want to complete your residency. You want to have that experience under your belt, because a lot of places now, even when they hire you, so I've heard, because it was easy for me as a new grad to get a job. It wasn't, you needed to have this amount of experience, but I've seen a few nurses where they have had they haven't been called back. They got their nursing degree, they passed the NCLEX, and they don't have a job because the people want experience. But you got to open up to new grads. So maybe they were just looking at the wrong places or waiting for a particular place in general. But people want you to have experience. And I mean, experience can be simply 1 year. I'm telling everybody that I know. Okay, cool. I think I pinned the link on there, Chris. So fill out the form, and then I'll get back with you towards the middle of this month, because I'm a busy bee. So I want to make sure that I have enough time for everybody. So that's why this mentorship is in May. Okay. So, but CC, you do have a good point. There are plenty of things that are, available for nurses that have worked a year. Some jobs that's like non-bedside, they want 3 to 5 years. And I'm telling you, when you get into these roles and you work, these jobs are not going to be strenuous on your body. You may have to think a little more, but you have that nurse judgment under your belt. So it's going to be like, oh, okay, well, in the past, this happened, so I'm going to use my judgments to help with this situation. And those jobs where you're not at the bedside anymore do pay more, because you have more nurse judgment. You're not worried about slaving and hurting yourself. And you think that you have to do the bedside all of your life, but you don't. And in nursing school, like if I was to be a professor, I would say, and I would say this to everybody, mentees, get at least your first year at the bedside under your belt, because being that you're working this, you get to see multiple different things. Get that 1 year in, right? Go somewhere else that you want to go to. Long-term care, cool. You got your hospital experience, you in long-term care. Because there's 2 different ways that long-term care and hospital work. You are not going to see the same exact stuff. Long-term care, you're not going to have all of that accessibility that a hospital gives for your patients. So you're going to have to do a lot more. So get your experience for sure. When you want to move around, know how to move around. And this is something that I kind of share with my mentees, and I'll do that in the future on how to move around, because the regular way is not always it. It depends on your goals. What do you want to do? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to increase your income other than, your annual couple pennies a year? Do you want to get away from the bedside, work the bedside? You're okay with it. Get in management. Do you want to get away from being in a hospital or patient care setting and be an instructor? It's so many things that you could do that I'm not even talking about that you can do in nursing. It's so many. So when I hear people say they're going to quit nursing, like, did you weigh out all the options? Like, you're going to quit nursing and go into what? Hopefully it's something that's going to give you more money, because when you quit and go down a level or two, your income, your pay, you're going to be like, dang, I'm used to this, But for mental clarity, it's good, but you also need to have mental clarity in the same amount of money that you still make. So it's other ways that you can navigate through nursing. Don't give up. All right, let me look back at my paper. Um, and remember this, burnout does not mean that you are weak. You just know that something has to change. And sometimes it's the system. The system can just be too heavy. And I say the system, I mean that the people that are above you, leadership, who's above their leader, who's the leader above them, they're okay with what you're currently doing, and maybe they're not going to change. There's no hiring fairs to hire any more staff. There's nothing, no positions that's up for hire anymore because they're used to y'all doing it. You have to get to where you want to get to, but it all comes from, let me sit back, let me think, what do I want to do? Okay, I want to work in the bedside, but I want to do a different specialty. Okay, let me look into specialties. Or I'm tired of the bedside, my body is beat down, I want to do non-bedside. Okay, let's look into those specialties. What sounds familiar? Or I want to level up, get my master's, get my bachelor's, get my PhD, DNP, whatever you decide. You want to level up and do that? Then let's think about what's happening over here. What can you do after you get that? Make sure it's worth you getting it. Make sure it's something that is not just going to pile on student loan debt because you want to do this and there's no jobs for it. You got to make it make sense. So I wrote down some things about burnout. Let me make sure I read everything before I get to this list. I quit 125K long-term care RN job a month ago. After 4 days on the floor, I couldn't physically do it. Yeah, you know what? CC, do you live in California? Because most long-term care nurses, unless they're picking up overtime like that, in my area, they're not making that. I know I was offered a certain amount as a new RN, but I already knew I wasn't going to work in Santa Barbara. So that's California. Okay. So California makes a good amount, but I know the cost of living is a lot too. All right, so let me get to these little bullet points about burnout. Yeah, and you got time under your belt, girl. CC, you got time under your belt. So if you want to, Chris, I think the link is pinned at the top. If you don't see it, let me see. The mentorship here is pinned at the top, but I will put it in the chat again. Mentorship form. I just put it in there again. Okay. As a new nurse trying to get hired, do you feel like volunteering in a hospital, helping out patients and observing nurses is a good way to gain experience to get you in order to get you hired? Valerie. Volunteering, I think that's a good question. To be honest, because I'm thinking about my hospital, the hospital that I work at, which I will never say where because you never know who's trying to come for you. Even though people have seen me in there say hello, even students have seen me and said hello. I watch your channel. The volunteers are like non-healthcare. If you want to, you can see what the requirements are. Hopefully it's something like part-time, because you know when you volunteer, that's free labor. It's just like you in clinicals, but you're volunteering there. So yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. I think that, well, let's do this, Valerie. How many positions have you applied for? I remember the last live I did, it was around Christmas, if not Christmas Day. I guess I'm doing holiday lives. Um, there is there was a lot of people that applied for things, but you got to remember when you're applying for things around a holiday, not saying, Easter or Resurrection Day is a holiday that people will not look at your stuff. But when you're applying for things in December per se, a lot of people are not even going to touch it until January because people are off on holiday breaks. Kids are out of school, so they're taking off. The volume of the hospital will not change, but it's some people that take off, and managers can do that if they're not working the floor. So how many places have you applied for? But yes, go ahead and volunteer, but don't stop applying for those places. I want you to tell me in a number amount, how many places have you applied for? All right. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, let me get to these bullet points, y'all. So just to simply break down burnout. I mean, y'all know what it is, but I want to give my spiel too. So the signs of burnout: emotional exhaustion. And if you say, this is me in the comments, I know you've been through it. I've been through it multiple times. Detachment from patients, dreading your shift or pre-shift anxiety, feeling undervalued. These are my take on signs of burnout. Why does this happen? Chronic understaffing, meaning your boss's boss, or the CEO not hiring nobody else because it ain't in their budget. They didn't reduce the budget amount for everybody but the CEO, and they're not gonna have anybody to help you. Lack of support, meaning there's no resource staff. If you take a break, there's not a resource nurse there to help you on your breaks so you can fully eat, relax, get away from the unit. Sometimes it's not. More than likely it's not, unless they have a lot of people. And sometimes when they're overly staffed, somebody's going home. Or your charge nurse. Say your charge nurse is supposed to be your support staff, and the charge nurse has their own set of patients. That's not support. They're busy too. So why this happens? Poor work-life balance. Now, poor work-life balance means what to you? Does it mean I'm working all these days in a row because I need to catch up on some bills and I'm not really getting an adequate amount of sleep, so I'm just caffeining it up, energy drinking it up, and I'm just pushing past? Is it I am going to work through my lunches, my breaks, because I haven't worked on my time management skills to get me more prepared when I'm at work? I'm not bunching up all of my care in with this one patient in this room before leaving out and going to someone else. I'm going to keep coming back and forth into one room, interrupting them from their sleep or whatever because you forget to do X, Y, and Z. You need a mentor for that because you need to line yourself up. Financial frustration. I kind of talked about it. So are you working more than your assigned shift? Are you working and living your life above your means? Let's backtrack. When you worked as a nurse, everybody on this live, I need you to chime in. Whether you listening in and you can't and you can't actively say something, say it later. Or you looking at the recap. When you are a nurse, was it a good amount of a increase? Was your increase a good amount? This is why I edit my videos, because I say stuff different ways. Was your increase a good amount prior to you getting a nursing job? Prime example. And just say yes or no. Prime example. Me. I always give myself as an example. I was a phlebotomist. The max I've made was, I think, $17 or $18 an hour. Do you think my new nurse pay was $17, $18 an hour? Thank you. Hi. For nurses, I'm telling you, think about this hard. And people fail to realize this when you get that nursing paycheck and you like, ooh, I make this much more now. Let me buy this. Let me get a house. Let me get another car. Let me trade this in. Let me get a lease. I've done it. But the same year that I became a nurse, I became a wife too. So now it's a 2-house income. But I'm telling you, was your paycheck bigger? Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, CC. Live below your means. If you live under your means, you got savings, right? If something happens like the other week, my husband's car was down because he needed a whole bunch of stuff done. And we were trying to decide, are we going to get you a new car or are you just going to work on this? And if we didn't have savings, we would have been hit. So you got to live under your means. It's easier said than done. But for new grads, I love new grads because you can condition yourself. My nurse paycheck, how much more am I making? And even people that's been a nurse for a while, do this. Write this down. For new nurses, see how much more you're making on your paycheck. If it's $1,000 more, $800 more, cool. Guess what you do with that? Tell me in the comments. I want to see if y'all listening. What do you do with that surplus of income from your paycheck? I know some people in here that's actively commenting. I need to know if you listening. What do you do when you a new grad and you make $1,000 more on your paycheck? What do you do with that money? Come on. What do you do with it? Do you save it? Possibly invest in it? Invest with it? Everybody may not do that unless they were already investing. Do you buy something nice for yourself? No, not giving it to me. I don't require anybody's money on here. This on this channel is free. This is free. So the only thing I ask for is a like and a share if somebody else needs it. But no, you don't get the money to me. I don't need it. I want to help you to get what you need. So, the first thing that you would do with that, what'd you say? Free, what it? I don't know what this is. Okay. The first thing that you would do with that is you would see, okay, what debt do you have? We know student loan debt is there. I'm talking about credit card debt. I'm talking about a bill that you need to pay that's past due. Anything that you need to take care of that paycheck can help with. And I'm not talking about get something new. I'm talking about paying what you need to pay. I'm not talking about paying off your house either. I'm talking about what do you have. So if you behind on a cell phone bill, your energy bill, your gas bill, your water bill, that goes to that. But out of all of that, out of that $1,000, let's take it to church. 10% of that, and y'all know what I mean if I say take it to church, 10% of that you should put into savings. If you can't afford to put half of that in your savings, do 10%. You could do $100. So every check, if you're doing 100, until you start knocking down your debt that you have, then what happens the next paycheck? You don't have to spend $900 on all of that. Or maybe you do. But if not, try to put $200 to a side, right? That's $300 in your savings for the month if you're getting paid every 2 weeks. Everybody is not perfect, but you have to put money to a side. You have to do that because emergencies happen. You may have to get a tire. Tires are not cheap. Depending on what car you have, they're not cheap. You need to put money to a side. And as the months go down, as the months go on, you're going to look and you're going to say, oh, I got $1,000 in my account. Cool. Keep adding on to it. And just not a regular Chase account. I use a high yield savings account, and it gives you a certain percentage on your interest. So that money is making money with it. All right, let me go to these comments. I think I start moving my mouth too much. Let me make sure. 1 second, y'all. As a nurse trying to get high. Oh, I read that one. Okay, let's go down. Pre-shift anxiety due to a new position as a drug and ETOH detox nurse. A lot of nurse clicks there. Okay, trusting in God to cover me while I'm there for 13 hours per shift. Veronica, question for you. Do you work in corrections? Because I've heard of that. Detox RN, like drug detox. Let me know, are you working in a correctional facility? Because I heard, and they may pay pretty good, but I heard that is a really horrible job. And I just heard it from a couple of people that I know that worked in that area. You get the roughest people if it's corrections. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Will you have a live for CNAs? Rebecca, I've never been a CNA. I've been a phlebotomist. I worked as a tech for a little bit while I was testing for my boards. So I can't truly give you the CNA stuff because I've never been one, went to CNA school, worked as a CNA. So, but if you have questions, you can always ask. This is, my nursing judgment. And I'm sure, I've answered some questions for CNAs in the past. So if you have questions, that's totally fine. Some of my mentees were CNAs transitioning into LPN. So go ahead and send a question below in the comments, or a suggestion or a statement, or however you want to do it. Okay. No, it's not corrections. Oh, so is that the job where you used my interview stuff, Veronica, to help you get in? I'm eager to know because I think you had an interview. I think. And he was like, that interview video helped me so much. I got the job. If it's not, it don't matter. But I think, oh, you just started. Okay. So tell me what makes it challenging. And I know you signed up for the mentorship, so we may be able to do a little bit more one-on-one to kind of break it down. But just right now, what makes it challenging for you? Is it the patients? Is it the way that you have to take care of them? Is it the amount of patients that you have, how they treat you? there's no support in leadership? Are you by there totally? I mean, are you totally there by yourself? Tell me a little bit more. Excuse me. Okay. But you know what, CC? I've heard that corrections is not bad. Like, I know an LPN that works in corrections, like here and there, and she works at the hospital that I work too. So she kind of do that like side hustle money. And I mean, it's a guard with you when you give me your meds. They talk trash, but it's not like super, super bad. But I just heard that the detox portion was a bit much. And recently, a nurse that is now an NP, she worked there for one day and was like, no, I'm not doing it. So tell me the details of what makes it so horrible. Like, I want to know that part. Okay. I applied for at least 15 positions since September. All right. And I was told I needed more experience. I started volunteering at a hospital since December in the med surge and PCU, and I will start to apply. Okay. So, Valerie, 15 places since September. What state are you in? Um, I'm trying to, and what area do you want to work in? Is it specifically you want to work in med surg or PCU? Because while you're volunteering, if you get the hang of who leadership is over there, you can say, hey, you know what? I applied for this. I applied for a role in this area. Maybe in December. Let me know if you have another opening. You know what I'm saying? I'm eager to learn this area. That's why I'm volunteering, and I would love to be a part of your staff. You know, and hopefully you can get a card and you send them an email. Thank you so much for, talking to me the other day. I'm so and so, the nurse that the new nurse that volunteers in the hospital on your unit and another unit. Yeah, feel free to let me know when you have, an opening, and kind of go from there. New York. Okay, New York pay good, but I know cost of living is something. Dang it. You know what? It's really sad to hear that. Like, do you know anyone that is currently a nurse, like in your area? Let me know about that, Valerie. Do you know a nurse a friend that's a nurse in your area that you can reach out to? Sometimes it's word of mouth. Like, hey, I need a job. I'm brand new. I'm volunteering here, but I want to work as an RN. Do you have an opening, or do you know somebody that's hiring? Because sometimes that word of mouth that I mentioned earlier, that word of mouth can get you in your first RN role. Because that happened to me. And this girl didn't know me from a can of paint. We were Facebook friends. There was an opening, and she was like, hey, send your resume to my boss, apply to this, and they'll give you a call. Also, Valerie, I don't want to get you mixed up with Veronica, but Valerie, look for hiring fairs. Look for job fairs. See what's in your area. Because with job fairs, you can talk to them, and you can sell yourself and say, hey, good morning, good afternoon, whatever the time is. Here's my resume. I'm eager to be a part of your healthcare facility. And what if you did clinicals there? They already know that you've worked in their system, right? So, oh yeah, I did my clinical rotation here last year. This will be awesome to work here. I'm eager to learn, and let me know when you have your next opening. But if they already have an opening, they can take a brand new nurse, because it's easier for you to train a brand new nurse than to train a seasoned nurse. Because the video that I recently did, sometimes the seasoned nurses is like, I know, and they're not going to get out of what they already know, even though it may be something new that they need to learn. So it's easier to train a new grad than someone that's been a nurse for 20, 30 years, unless they're willing to open up and allow somebody to help them in that new area. Okay. Just started. Extremely challenging. I never worked with substance abuse as a nurse. It's different because the patients are very dependent on meds constantly, yes. And the documentation in the computer is extra. I think that's extra. Women's prisoners are more demanding and harsher than male prisoners. It wasn't bad physically. Let's med pass, assisting the doctor when needed, but doing the med pass on 5,000, that is a lot. Look, my dog barking now. Maybe I'm getting a little too loud, or maybe he see a deer in the backyard, one or the other. Hush, Winston. Okay. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your advice. Very helpful. Valerie, keep me posted on your new role as a nurse. Put it on any video. I look at all of my comments. Most of the time I'll put a heart emoji, but I've read it. Recently I started doing like the voice commenting, where I can click on those lines on the side and I do a voice and you can physically hear me talking directly to you. But keep me posted, because I know your new nurse job is around the corner. You just got to look in different areas. Winston. He in the other room. Okay. Very helpful. You're welcome. All right, let me get back to this list. Thank you. I think one time, Veronica, there was someone that was like, tell me how to do the voice comments in the voice comment on how to do it. Like, they wanted me not to type it, but tap it and voice comment how to reply in a voice comment. And I was like kind of sleepy. Like, I just woke up and I'm like, I'm trying to clear my throat to make sure I don't sound super like just tired. I was like, and I had to redo it a couple of times, but hopefully they got the gist of it. All right, good to hear. Okay, so I'm not done with my list. Let me get back to it. All right, so here's some things that will change. You want to pivot from the burnout, right? And here, I'm gonna put this here. You want to pivot from this burnout. So you need to realize that you just don't need rest. You don't need just rest when you're burnt out. You need options. Okay? So with these options, you are thinking of different ways, right? You need to think of, where am I going to transition to? I talked about it a little earlier. Am I going to get out of the bedside? Am I going to stay in the bedside and work a different specialty? Am I going to go back to school, thug it out in the bedside, and go back to school, get my degree, level up, get a whole nother position when I'm done with school? It all depends on what you want to do. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. So we're going to think about ways to increase. Is he still barking? We're going to think about ways to increase this income. Nurses, we make money, right? Even he said yes. We make money, but we need to know how to leverage this. What is he barking for? One second, y'all. Winston, what's going on? You interrupting my live, honey bun? You see something? You don't see nothing. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay. I had to make sure my dog was together. I just closed that so he couldn't see what was in the backyard, because we got a lot of backyard. And we have turkeys, we have deers, we have squirrels. Cats, sometimes we walking across, stray cats. So I just closed that so that he won't be distracted. And I'm trying to make sure that y'all can hear me without his in the back. All right. My mantra is, if I ask for help or advice and they say no, I'm asking the wrong person. Gotta keep going. Gotta keep asking. I love hearing Winston. Yeah, but Winston is he's interrupting us. So anyway, I love my Winnies, but he need to be quiet. Mama's working. So or not even working. This is grown folks talk. So he got to stay out of there. Stay out of it. Keep quiet. You see, my daughter ain't interrupted us, and she's upstairs. She already know. But anyway, okay. So how do we increase our income as a nurse? There are ways to leverage because of your experience. Yes, mama be busy. Do me a favor. Everybody that's watching, put your years of experience as a nurse in the comments. Please. Let me see what this is. How many years have you been a nurse? I love to see this. I really, really do. All right. Cece, thank you. My flower wall. Thank you. I put that together myself back when my husband and I had a peer space, and we would host people that wanted to do content creation, if they wanted photography, if they wanted to do some brand deals and they needed an area to do it. Yeah, we hosted something like that a couple years ago. So I didn't want to get rid of my flower wall. So I was like, I'm going to keep that. This couch was in there. All of this was in here. But yeah, this is my flower wall. All right. Let me see. 17 years. Thank you. Since 1998. Okay. Come on, y'all. I know what some more nurses up in here. Tell me your experience. Okay. I think of going into ABSN. What advice can you give me? Valencia, ABSN. Tell me those abbreviations. So, are you saying a bachelor's of science in nursing? All right, now ED, 21 years. I love it. You know what? ED nurses, y'all be having some stories. I mean, I know I had stories, but y'all have some stories because you see everything. Start as LPN and then RN. All right, nice. So keep coming. I want to know how many years experience y'all got. Oh, accelerated back. Okay. So Valencia, we are a special. Yes, you are. Yes, you are 100%. Mad respect. um, let me see. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask Valencia. Valencia, are you an associate's degree nurse? Like, do you have your 2-year degree, or maybe an LPN? Maybe you got a year of schooling and you're an LPN. I'm just trying to see what your back credentials are, or if you're just trying to go straight into BSN. Oh, I know you learn something new every day. That's why I love the ER. But for me, I wanted to branch off and see what happens when the patients go upstairs, and Of course, you learn different things in the ICU, but it was always a ER versus ICU. And I would see the ICU nurses get mad at the patients that come up from the ER because, the cords were tangled or something like that. And it's like, we saved somebody's life. You can untangle these little cords. So I would kind of chuckle when I worked in the ICU because it was like, y'all tripping over this? Like, they're alive and they're stable enough to come up here with you. So I don't know. It was just funny because people have those memes where, it always talks about certain little things. Oh, well, the ER nurse put, the IV in the antecubital, and the ICU nurse mad that it's not somewhere else. And it's like, okay. But it is what it is. I can go on and on about that. All right. Anybody else want to tell me their time in the nursing field? And then I would talk about how to increase the income as a nurse. So you want to leverage your experience. Some people, all right, 14 years, LPN, subacute rehab, LTC, med surgeon, waiting RN program, acceptance. You got this. You got this. I'd be like, your patient is alive and they got an airway and 5 lines. What do you... Yeah, and it's funny. I'm gonna get back to this. It's funny because when I went to the ICU, some of the nurses didn't know how to do IVs. So it was nothing for me. I was a phlebotomist before a nurse, and then I put IVs in effortlessly. So they're like, oh, can you put this IV in for this person? This one needs to be, this one is going bad, this one. Sure. What you gonna do for me? You gonna do something with my patient? But it is what it is. We worked as a team, whether it was ER or ICU. Okay. Valencia, have a bachelor's in a different degree. Oh, okay. It takes 12 to 15 months to complete depending on the institution. So your bachelor's in a different degree. Is it non-nursing? I'm trying to think. 12 months to 15 months to complete. Yes, very much so, against nurses eating their young. Very much so, but it happens. It's sad and it happens. Transitioning from bedside because I can't take the fact that they're not teaching the newbies like they did us. Yeah, you know what? The teaching is different. And then the people that have the time under their belt are not willing to teach. They're like, oh, I'm not about to deal with them because these people act like they don't know, what's going on, and I can't deal with this. And it's understandable. Everybody does not want to teach. Okay, let's leverage this money. All right. So you leverage your experience. When you have 3 to 5 years experience as a nurse, it sounds like a lot when you're a new nurse, but it comes so quickly. When you have 3 to 5 years, you can do some type of telehealth, right? Cece said she did some telehealth. She's been a nurse for forever, right? Only saying forever because I don't remember the years. I think I remember the 2009. So she got some time under her belt, right? Case management. Case management is something that I have done. I've traveled in the case management. And that's when I realized that bedside nursing and non-bedside, sometimes the money is better on the non-bedside, and case management showed it. I mean, you have a lot more patients, but you're not pulling, tugging, medicating. No, you're trying to get them placed in a skilled nursing facility, have home care, physical therapy, home infusions, what do you call it? Home medical equipment schedule. You are navigating all of the stuff that they need to be discharged to go home with. So you need your nurse judgment for that. You have to make sure that your patient ratio. I've had hundreds of patients, but I did it as a coordinator for transplant. And then when you work in a hospital and you're a discharge planner, you maybe have 30, which 30 sounds like a lot, but you don't need to do everything with all patients. It's some people that'll go directly home and won't need any type of skilled nursing facility or any type of help from you. They're just discharged home. Or it's some that may need rehab and they have to sit a little bit. You have to know their insurance and know what's the protocols and do prior auths for certain things to get them out of the hospital in a timely manner, because people are going to want to make sure that they're in that window when insurance still pays for it. And if not, they're going to be all on you. And then some patients don't want to leave. So then you have to become the muscle too. Hey, you are out of your window. This is going to cost you X amount of dollars a day if you continue to stay in here, when you have an option to go to this place or that place. Which one would you prefer? What is the best certification to documentation or medical coding as a nurse transitioning? What are you trying to transition into? Tell me that. Tell me what you're trying to transition into, because you may not need neither one of those, to be honest. Okay. Consulting. So when you have experience under your belt, you could be a nurse consult. They need legal nursing consults. Now, I've heard that those are jobs that are not that easy to get, but when you get in them, you get paid. Okay. So you trying to go to quality, risk, or just apply for it. So I don't think that you need, no, you have 21 years of experience. A lot of your training is going to be on job training. So with your experience, apply for it. I know with utilization, I'm thinking of What's UR? Because utilization management is kind of like neck and neck with case management, but utilization management knows the numbers of how much this costs, that costs for the patient that's in the hospital, and what's covered and what's not covered, and all of this different stuff. So tell me what UR is, because I'm thinking of utilization management. All right, some side hustles, okay? Everybody has a side hustle. If not, you thought about a side hustle. Okay, utilization review. Okay, so that's the same thing as utilization management. Yes, that's the same thing. So they just call it different things. Utilization review, because they use inner qual. They do appeals, stuff like that. Yes, it's the same thing. Just apply. You got enough time under your belt, honey, that you don't need to take another course. Apply for it. You're going to use your nurse judgment to help you throughout that. But the things that role will show you, you can learn it on the job. All right. Side hustles. This is my side hustle. Of course, YouTube, social media platforms. So I always encourage people, if you have knowledge in a certain role, say, for example, I'm going to pick on you, Miss ED nurse for 21 years. If you want to talk about how to get prepared to become an ER nurse, you got years of experience. You can do that on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and all of those things, you get monetized for. I don't really mess with Instagram a lot. I used to with my old channel that got hacked. TikTok, I do different things, but with TikTok, I do different things from this channel. A lot of my reactions may come from TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, but use what you have to share with your audience, because people like that. People like to learn certain things. Um, Digital products. So if you are crafty and you know about different things, some people not even that crafty. They just go to Canva and they create some type of journal or calendar or something like that. You can do stuff like that, but you got to have an audience for it. Affiliate marketing. So if you like Amazon, like me, I have Amazon affiliate, but I rarely use it. But if you buying stuff, if Amazon come to your house every week and you show stuff on social media, your regular page, and they're like, "Ooh, send me the link for that." You can get your affiliate link, send it to them, and you get a small percentage. But if you have a lot of people that are looking at what you're buying, if it's something that's good around the house, or if it's some clothes that's cute, or if it's something that's just like really helpful, and you have a link for that, you get extra income from that too. But you have to have a good amount of audience. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, oh, well, you send a link to 2 people, you get an extra $100. That's not the case. When the amount that you're spending is, say you got a $20 item, you think you're gonna get $20 back? No. But some affiliate marketing income can be really good, but you have to have the audience for it. And just because you have the audience doesn't mean that your audience wants it. All right. Contract roles, travel nursing. Of course, travel nursing is never going to go away. I actually miss travel nursing, to be honest, but I needed to work as a staff nurse to get this house that I'm in right now, because I recently moved less than 6 months ago into a new home of mine, and they would not take travel nurse income. And if they did, they were combing through your stuff. Like, they needed to know your contracts for the last 3 to 4 years, and it's like, and then if you weren't working, if you took a month off like I did in between contracts, they wanted to know, what were you doing? Why weren't you working? Blah, blah, blah. And it was considered unstable. So travel nursing do give you the money. Of course, it doesn't give you the money like it used to, but it's still more than your staff job. And then also, if you want to do like a 1099 job, do some type of, or a contract where you're doing just something for a particular time, just to put some money in your pocket, you can do that as well. But make sure that it doesn't interfere with your regular job, because you want to add on to your job. If you're travel nursing, there's no way. It is a way, but it's hard. But I'm going to just stick with, it's no way for you to work your full-time job and then do travel nursing too, unless you just want to be tired and you want to work 6 12s if you work in the bedside. If you work outside of the bedside, they're going to want you the whole week, if not 4 10s, but most of the time, 5 8s. So you can't do both. Entrepreneurship. Are there any entrepreneurs in the chat? Let me know. I'm Auntie. Hey. Let me see. What do you think about those RNs, attorney versus clinical? You know what? I don't know anything about them. I guess it all depends on how much it costs. Is it going to help you get a job? Like, is that a requirement? If it doesn't cost that much, go for it. But if you're spending thousands of dollars on a certification and it won't help you get a job in that area for a legal nurse, then you're wasting your time and your money. You're better off with trying to market yourself and say, hey, I got 21 years of ER experience. I could help you with multiple different cases based on my time seeing different things and learning new things every day in the ER. You know how you can market yourself like that instead of getting a certificate. But if it's a requirement and it's not going to take an arm and a leg and all of your paycheck, and then and if you have time for it, okay, go for it. Would you help as a consultant to help start? Oh, would you help as a consultant to help a startup? Uh, what type of startup? I mean, I've started my own scrub business, but that was something that I did my research on and I had the capital for cash. Like I didn't use credit cards or anything. I know with certain businesses, you have to have certain capital, but it all depends on what you're trying to do. Let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, birthday cards, selling on Canva and selling. Nice. IV meds, home care, biologics, pick line insertions are good. Man, can you? I don't want to say your name wrong. So for a sign. I don't. I'm gonna just call you Sophie. Is that okay? Hopefully it's okay. If not, give me another name because I don't want to butcher over that. Yolanda. Is that your name? Yolanda? Let me know if I pronounced it right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Um, Perfect, Yolanda. So the pick line insertions, you are right up the alley of what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to get into it, but I know that when I worked, I did a couple of travel assignments and I accessed the ports. And I was like, dang, I wonder if they would allow me to do pick line insertions. Maybe not the ports, because I know those were like PAs and doctors and stuff like that were doing that residence. But I would love to do like some type of pick line insertion. And I don't know what the requirements were, but that was right up my alley of what I wanted to do. And I mean, it's not too late for me to circle back over there. I just have to look into what it is and kind of go from there. Oh, you want, okay. So Yolanda, you're asking, can I help as a consultant to help start up the, let me see, YouTube channel? Is that it? Is that what you were asking for when you said help as a consultant to help start up? Oh, yeah, I can help you with that. If you need some mentorship, usually my stuff is nursing mentorship, but I mean, I can give you some tips on actually starting up your YouTube channel. If you want to do it in nursing, I can help you for sure. Um, but just apply for the link that I put there for nursing mentorship, and then and just kind of put in the notes that you wanted help with your YouTube channel for nursing content or something like that. But give me specifics so that I don't forget this conversation, because I do have other people that's applying in that form, and I don't want to forget what yours was in particular, because I wouldn't, but for you I would. Okay, some hospitals have dedicated IV nurses as a position doing pick insertions, DC hard sticks, and they run around the hospital when needed. Yes, I did. I did hear about those, and the crappy part, when I was looking into it, they required you to be a med surge nurse. I was never a med surge nurse. I've only did critical care, so it was like a no. And then the IV nurses, they kind of like phased out of them, and they didn't have a lot. So I kind of like went away from it. But I would love to put in a pick line. And I think I saw contracts where they wanted, somebody to put in pick lines. But of course, you needed experience. So how am I going to get the experience if I can't find the position? So either way. All right. Decent hospitals have dedicated IV nurses in phlebotomy. Yeah, they do. Bob Joe. They do. Okay, your pick line team works in the OR. So every hospital is going to be different with hold on. North Carolina. Vascular wellness, no experience needed. They'll train you part-time. Oh, that's nice. If I was in North Carolina. But yeah, so every hospital is different. They do have teams that'll come around, but in order to be a part of that team, since they're so, close and knit, you would have to, somebody would have to leave and you would just have to be on it when they had an opening. But it's rare that you see like a pick line position for that as an opening. It's something else, and then they throw the pick line and port insertion and all of that into one, because that's another part of short staffing. They're going to make the staff do all of it. But if it coincides with one another, then it's understandable. Ooh, my MacBook is dying on me. Let me make sure that, okay, well, I can see your comments there. I should have brought my plug down. It's okay. One thing about my ICU is I lost my IB skills. So I didn't, because they was bugging me. Hey, can you put this line in for me? Because they didn't have the skill. And I made sure, hey, you want me to get some blood? You want me to put another line in? So it's easy to lose them when, they putting in art lines or whatever and you don't need them. So I understand, Bob. Let me see. Or you can work for a company that makes the pick line and teach. Okay. They may have some in other states. Okay. That's the hardest thing when you want a new position, but you need experience. How can you get experience if they won't allow you to? Correct. Some places will be desperate enough to let you come in. Maybe somebody is retiring and they just need someone, they'll be willing to show you. But it becomes questionable. Like, they have to look and see if there's someone else with experience. They're going to pick them over somebody with nothing, because it's less training that they have to do for them to get that person to come in and help. It'll be less training. Then you got to spend all this time and explain and have somebody willing to train. So that part does suck, Veronica. All right, I'm trying to get at least each charge nurse being trained for ultrasound guided, especially for nights. So I know right before I transitioned over to the ICU from the ER, we were getting, well, it wasn't a given that we needed to, but we were signing up for the ultrasound guided IVs. So I kind of missed that one, but I think it's classes for it that I can just, I think it's classes for it. I'm just going to block this person because I don't even know who this is. This is unnecessary. And sometimes this happens when you are doing a live. People just pop in and say whatever they want. So deleted, blocked, or silenced for 24 hours. Anyway, there are a lot of companies that do pick lines and ultrasound IV training, help that you can get your 4,200 all together, claim it on your taxes, and start an LLC, become a 1099 contractor. Okay, now, Bob, yes. Yeah, that's why I went on and blocked that one, because for what? Not bringing value to the channel, to the comments, to what we're saying, just wanting to get on there and troll. So anyway, let's get back to it. Entrepreneurship. So nurses, out of everybody, and Bob, give me your nurse experience. How many years? Out of everybody that has written their years of experience, y'all have the capability of being an entrepreneur in the field that you want. Let me see. Or have a private membership and avoid an LLC. Uh-oh, what did I miss? I don't know where that was from, CC. Okay. So with entrepreneurship, you want to always get an LLC and whatever, right? My scrub business. I had that business since the end of 2023. right at the tail end of me stopping travel nursing, and I went into another role because, like I said, I needed I needed to be stationary so that I could get this house that I'm in now. This house was built for us. So it took time, and I needed to have a stable job in order for them to be okay with me moving in. Um, get an LLC for whatever entrepreneurship role you trying to do, whether it's if you want to do more than just what I'm doing with my scrubs. If you want to do some type of coaching, right? If you want to be a nurse coach, nurse mentor, if you want to get a IV business like IV drips, and you want to, be one that is, what do you call it? Like a remote, like they'll come into your area, not really remote, but they'll come to your home, set up your IV drip. You can do IV drip parties. People on the weekends, they having a little bit too much fun and they need that vitamin D bag. There you go. There is a couple of nurses that have their own IV business. And of course, the supplies is one thing. You got to have a little bit of capital to buy some things. But as you are getting your clients, put it back into your business. Just know, when you have a business, you are not going to be, you're not going to be out of the negative. Depending on how much you spend, you're not going to be out of the negative your first year, which that can help you for taxes too. So with you getting some type of entrepreneurship role that you're going to do outside of nursing, but it may be nursing, it may not be, this is going to give you more income. Now, sometimes the side hustles are, you make more with them side hustles than your 9 to 5. And you quit that 9 to 5. But just remember, for tax purposes, if your money is not taxed, you need to put at least, I forgot how, the exact percentage. It's 20 something. So 30% of your income, you need to put that somewhere in a savings, untouched, because the IRS going to be knocking, where my money at? Okay? So you make money, but if it's not taxed, it's not a W-2, it's a 1099, you put that money to a side, 30% of what your income is. And if you got a good, not attorney, if you have a good tax person, then they can set it up in a way where you're paying the IRS quarterly. So it doesn't seem like it's so much money that you have to pay at the end of the year. Okay? Uh-oh, what am I doing? I'm missing comments. Let's see. Oh, okay, I get it. All right. Private membership is a bit complicated, but it requires the member to sign a liability. Release of liability taxes are different and a lot to explain on here. Oh, PIC line insertion, $10.99. $4.95 midline placement, $3.75 contract with Walgreens, CVS Pharmacy or smaller. Mom and pop IV services already established, low overhead. Okay, look, you okay, Yolanda, I think. I was about to call you ER again. That is good money. Let me see. Here in New Jersey, a lot of nurses pick up school bus runs for extra income, monitoring clients for seizure. I was offered a position to do that, but the crappy thing was, back then, all 3 of my kids were in school. Like, my 2 older ones are in college, but all 3 of my kids were in school. So I needed to pick up my baby girl because her school is a private school and they don't really have a bus route. Everybody gets dropped off at that school. My two older ones, they were good. I didn't have to worry about them, but the time frame to pick up the school bus run interfered with the time that I needed to pick my youngest daughter up. So I couldn't pick her up, drop her off, and then go. It would have already been too late. Okay, 25%. So I heard, Yolanda, that I thought it was 26 or 27. So I always just round it up to 30% because you never know when that's going to change. But that's some good information that you're giving. All right. So do you think that your nursing license is just for a job? Or do you think it's a business asset? Let me know. It's quite a few people still on here. Do you think it's a job? Or do you think it's a business asset? I'm waiting on this one. You think it's a job or a business asset? And I'm going to briefly talk about Superfan. Okay, Superfan, I remember your face. You comment a lot. Hey, girl, hey. So I'm going to remember this always. You know those videos where it's a guy interviewing whoever. Hey, I'm a research analyst there. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a, thank you. I agree. I'm waiting on some more people. I want to see if we like-minded or not. But this video where they're, I'm a surgeon and, I am a IT specialist, and they talk about how much they make in a year. And there was one nurse practitioner. She said, I made $1 million. And I was like, whoa, nurse practitioners? Now, that nurse practitioner was not getting that from one job. What one job gonna give you $1 million? That's CEO money. What one job will give you $1 million? Not one at all. Not one. So I don't remember all of her breakdown, but she was working 1099. I think she had a couple of 1099 jobs. She had a business too, and that generated her $1 million. So when you think about nursing, and of course, let's just pause. Let me take all of this out my face. Let's just pause. Hold on. Let's just pause. When we talk about nursing, they always shut us down and say that we rude, we nasty, we lazy, all of the bad stuff, right? Nurses get chewed up, spit out, stumped on, verbally abused. Things get thrown at them, bodily fluids, feces, right? But we have to push past that to take care of our patient, right? It's not like, oh, I'm not touching that person no more. We have to, thank you, we have to push past, do what we need to do to get through our shift. But yet the world is like, nurses are only in it for the money. Who works? Everybody that works usually have bills to pay. Do they talk about realtors being in it for the money? They want their maximum commission. Do they talk about doctors and lawyers being in it for the money? I haven't heard it, but they always want to downplay nurses. We work hard for what we do. If we get a break and we want to look at our phone for us missing text messages, take 5 minutes to do it. Get back to your patients. We are known for not being professionals, right? We are known for not doing the best that we can. We are known for a lot of negativity. And on my channel, I share the good, the bad, the ugly in nursing. Because nursing is not going to be all rainbows and sunshines. They don't teach you that in nursing school. But in the real world, you get into it and you see how it is. Nursing is very rewarding. You make a good amount of money, right? That increase that we talked about early on in this video, you get an increase from your regular rate. You become in another tax bracket. You can be a nurse and make 6 figures, RN, right? Non-bedside. You have the capability of being great, and if you want to make more with your nursing degree, go for it. Make sure that you have the time and the patience, because that side hustle is not going to always just skyrocket off like some of these entertainers that you see on TV, where they have makeup or they have a clothing line and that stuff sell out, or they have perfume. That's not going to be you all the time. Let that entrepreneurship role build. Invest some of that money so that when it's time for you to retire, you ain't got to be hustling and doing all of these different little things, because you got money put up for your retirement. The money that nurses make, not all of them make, 6 figures. They should. Michigan is not considered that high cost of living state. So having a nurse that has been a nurse for 10 years make over $100,000, people are like, where you work at? I'm not going to tell you, but I can show you how to do it. One job. YouTube is totally separate. My scrub business is totally separate. That's not even included in the 6 figures. But you got to know how to work your role, how to navigate, and when you go to different hospitals, how to negotiate. You got all this experience. I think a lot of y'all nurses that have commented have been a nurse way longer than me. I'm not sure if you're at that area where you make that amount. If you're in a state that doesn't pay as much, like Michigan is, but you have to get there, and you have to make sure that you're going in the right areas, because you could sit on your butt in a comfortable job and make 70 grand and be okay with it. But that wasn't enough for me, for my family, for what I want to do, for what I want to invest in. Nurses definitely deserve more. The starting rate for a nurse is not $50 an hour unless you live in one of those higher cost of living states. Or seasoned nurses should be making $100 an hour. That's not the case in some states, unless you're on a contract. That's why travel nurses or strike nurses is out here making their bag, because they're not getting it as a staff nurse. They're not. I'm sorry I was on my soapbox, but a lot of people downplay nurses. We work our butt offs. We work hard. Whether you think we work hard enough, that ain't you. That's not up to you to judge, because you don't go through everything we go through. You don't get chewed up by patients, other healthcare workers, management. It's an emotional drain. It's an emotional toll. And everybody don't deserve that. So I recommend, if you need a mentor, I put my link in the chat. I think I pinned it and I put it in again for Chris. I can help you to navigate through Because sometimes you need an extra mind to think about, what do I need? What's best for me? How can I do this? Sometimes you just need somebody else to help you. Let me see. Let me look at this. I don't want to miss any of these before my MacBook dies. My phone is still good, but my MacBook is about to die. So I want to make sure I can scroll through. All right. You need to know. You need to be known as being human first. Correct. The money is great, but it should be way more. And you know what? Truly yours, whatever. That comment is what people don't like. The money is great, but it should be way more. They think that nurses are greedy, that we want more money, that we don't deserve more of an income, which is sad. Yeah, working for you. Welcome, CC. Keep me posted. Hopefully you get something else. I mean, you have a lot of good ideas. Let me know how it goes with your walk with seniors. Hopefully that really picks up, because the season now, it's warm, but if you in Santa Barbara, so you know. But now it's starting to get warm in certain areas, so it'll be nice to go out, walk, get some vitamin D in you. That's good for your bones, right? So I think that's a good idea, and hopefully it flourishes, and you let me know how it goes. Let me see. See you on the next one. Happy Easter for those who celebrate. All right, CC. Take contracts out of the country, cruise ships and resorts. Don't be afraid to spread your wings. High paying 3 to 6 month contracts. So, Yolanda, tell me this, because I've seen cruise ship jobs. I think this was during the pandemic. They weren't paying as much as what I was getting before. Maybe that's just why I kind of was like, tell me, how is it though? Because I think the rates were like, how much was it? I don't know if it was like 3,000 a month. Like that's less money for me to get on. But you're stuck on that cruise ship for 3 to 6 months, right? So I don't know if the rates have went up or not. But of course, I got a husband and I have kids, a dog. I probably wouldn't leave them to be on a cruise ship unless they can come with me. But then I don't know. I thought that would be a good thing to have. I did a video on that, probably on my old channel, about different things in nursing. And it seemed pretty cool back then. All right. I am here. There is no greater security than that. Okay. But notice it does not compare to the hatred and suffering of the soul. Ooh, who did that? You think that you can strike me down? I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, he sound like he talking from some type of something. Okay, the rates rotate based on the season. Take a family, I did a short one for the summer. Oh, okay. So it probably is good for the summer. What? I don't know what this person, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'm putting you on timeout because you talking off the wall and it has nothing to do with what we're saying. So go ahead and time you out. All right. What's left on my paper? So for my mentorship, what I'm going to say is all of this burnout, nurses are trying to increase their money, figure out how to go back to school and get most of it paid, as well as, just the feeling stuck and not knowing what to do. Sometimes you need a better insight on what to do with that. So my mentorship is for people that are burnt out, wanting more income, right? So you know that when you have this income, when you're burnt out at your job, you don't want to pick up overtime. That will be more income, but you don't want to pick that up. Why would you do that? You burnt out from there. You need to get away from it, right? I'm going to help you to get into whatever role you're trying to get into. You need to get clarity, some type of strategy. You need the support. You need accountability. I'm going to hold you accountable. When I give you homework, I need for you to tell me what you want, and I'm going to give you things that you need to answer. So you do your research for you on how you're going to get it done, and also what's the next steps. Because I don't believe in just talking and it's just one-sided. We're going to work together, right? I don't know everything about you, but you want a certain thing. I'm going to help you to get there, but it takes some work. Also, that transition is going to lead to less burnout, more control, of course, and more income, right? So if there's a shortcut to it, I wish, but it's not. It's not. And for my mentees, my future mentees, and like I've done in the past, I have something directly for you. It's not a one-all be-all. That's why it's paid, because I have to take the time to figure out what you need and everyone else. And I'm taking time away from my family to do that with you. So when people say, oh, well, is it going to be free? People don't take advantage of free stuff. Have you ever heard of that? People take more advantage of the things that they have to pay for because you don't want to waste money. All right, so I put the link to it. I pinned it at the top. It's also in my description. To fill out a form, everybody will not be accepted that applied for the mentorship, and my computer died. So I can't see no more comments, but I can see them on the phone. If you're ready to stop starving, right? I'm gonna look at that, Phyllis, in a second. If you're ready to stop starving in nursing and you want to start thriving, definitely you need a mentor. I do want to work with you. I want you to increase your income. If you're familiar, if you're comfortable with telling me how much you make when we're on our one-on-one, and tell me what you want to make, I can help you with the income perspective as well. Of course, if you don't have anything to go for and you're a brand new grad and you want to make $100,000 off the bat, and you live in just an average state that will pay the new nurses, maybe 60, 70,000, there's no way that's possible. Let's be realistic. Now, if you live in a higher income state, yeah, you might be able to do that, but your cost of living is going to be up there too. So, I believe, oh, wait, did I miss anything? I think everybody pretty much said what they were going to say in between the time that I'm talking, because that's what people usually do on lives. You don't want to wait till the end. Everybody can't stay. But we definitely can. Let me see. We've talked about burnout. We've talked about career pivots, income ideas. I've said a couple of those. Mentorship questions. A little bit of that has happened as well. So you didn't come this far in nursing to be stuck, right? If you agree, say it in the comments. You're not going to be exhausted all your life and underpaid. You don't deserve that. And for people saying, oh, nurses, you only doing this for the money, we have to make money. The economy is not getting any cheaper, right? Of course, live under your means, have money in your savings account, but if you don't have that, it's time for you to find a way to squeeze $100 and put it in a savings account. Nurses, if you can't afford that, we really need to get together so I can help you. You You deserve peace, flexibility, and financial freedom, right? And that's anyone, but my channel is about nursing. So you deserve that. You don't have to leave nursing at all. You just need the right strategy and support. So if you're ready for that, I can definitely help you. And then let me look at the comments since my laptop died on me. I didn't charge it. Let me see. Hey, sassy question with homely and gonist answer. What do you think of all the pop-up nursing schools? Oh, what, Phyllis? Girl. These pop-up nursing schools, you have to be careful because I wish I had a link to, there is a link that I have used to see if a school is accredited. Some jobs, you go through all of this schooling, and if the school is not accredited, meaning a brand new school is not going to be accredited. So there's a couple of schools, I won't say the name because I'm not trying to say anything bad about any school. Make sure it's accredited, because some jobs, if it's not accredited, they will not hire you. They hold their staff to a certain standard, and their nurses need to go to an accredited school. So if you don't look this up to see if they're accredited, and you spend all this money and your time in this school, past everything, right? And then you go and apply, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing with some of the nurses that are new grads and they're trying to apply for jobs and they're not getting a call back. Maybe they went to a school that's not accredited. Dang. I hope not, because what are you going to do? You go back to get a bachelor's, but that takes more time and more money, and you still haven't worked as a nurse. So the pop-up schools, you got to make sure that they're accredited. And guaranteed, Phyllis, guaranteed, the accredited schools are not going to be ones that just popped up a year ago. No. Hope that had made any sense. If anybody had any more questions, feel free to do so. My MacBook is dead. I'm done with my page to go through everything with you guys about mentorship, income increase, and burnout. I think that nurses deserve the best of the best because we deal with sometimes the worst of the worst. And hold your head up high. Some of these videos that I share is based on other people's opinions or other things that's done wrong, but that is not the whole 100% way that nursing is. Hopefully everybody that has been watching my video has given me a thumbs up, because those are free and they're already subscribed to the channel. If not, come on. Come on. I give my daily shorts every day. I try to do maybe a long form video once a month. I used to do my lives every other weekend, but then my life became a little bit busy. So I kind of stopped doing that. But if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to log off, and you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Resurrection Day, Easter, or whatever day, whatever holiday you celebrate. And y'all be blessed. Bye.